That was Wayne Goodzone. So, yeah, I found the thumbnail as a meme on the internet. So, yeah, there are other people who know of the abuse of the church. And it's a lot more than what Mormons disregarded. See, the world, they view it as the church is going into third world countries, converting people and requiring tithing, giving 10% of all they have, so that the church can build temples. For the Mormon part, it's for the afterlife. It's going to be your eternal salvation. But what Mormons don't get, as the meme points out here, is that this is the church's fruits of welfare. And we all know the doctrine of taking care of the physical needs before you take care of the spiritual. Because if people are starving, they're not interested in a God. They're worried about survival. You take care of them so that they have no insecurities for food, shelter, clothing. Then you can get into other discussions beyond survival. And Mormon church welfare is the bishop's storehouse. But all of the third world country members do not get welfare from the church. They do not get bishop's storehouse materials. They continue to suffer physically. They continue to live in poverty. And that's why they fall away from the church, is because the church doesn't give what they promised. And then the church just victim blames them. Says, well, you aren't faithful enough. You gotta endure to the end. But there's another aspect in which the elaborateness of the buildings. And I know that the more modern ones are not as elaborate, and yet there's still first world quality. And all it's used for is a one and done outside of the world. Here in Utah, in the few places is where the teenagers can go after school, do baptisms for the dead. Members of the church can go regularly to do their family names. Outside, you have to make appointments in order to go. And they don't need to be elaborate. You can do it in your own home. That's where the con is that the church, in order to make all this, generates $1 trillion. The whistleblower revealed that 10% goes into the Ensign Peak Advisors, and it had 100 billion, which means that the rest of the tithing is 900 billion. And it doesn't cost 900 billion for all the temples. For maintenance, and building, and remodeling, several billion. That's it. Because the church is elaborate, but it's millions of dollars rather than billions of dollars for a temple. And so the church has surplus. And they're able to show wealth, which rich people show their wealth as a symbol of power and dominance over others. And that's what the third world countries see it as. And because the church is putting on the front of a religious entity with a deity that Catholics and other Christian religions have come in and told them about Jesus, forced them to do away with their native religions, such as the Aztecs and the atrocities that Cortez was involved with there. That's going back a ways, but that's the way the Catholic Church ran things, is we will take away your agency and you will be forced to believe in Jesus, and we will destroy your lives, and you will now be in bondage to Jesus. And yes, I've gone over with you how Nelson has been pushing that in all of his talks, as I've got the clips, and I've been making clips of them and posting them for you. But it's disgraceful to go to a third world country and flaunt your wealth, making the people believe that Jesus is a part of this church, and to con them into giving of their money, of when they have so little that they live in mud huts, if not concrete buildings. I just, I saw it in New York, even though it's in America and people had apartment buildings and such. But I've been to Tijuana and Rosarita Beach, and I've seen the conditions just in those locations and others along the way. And so I'm well aware of the living conditions that people outside of prosperous America have to live in. And I knew about America's homeless condition, as I'm now among them, and it's far worse than I even thought of, as I was able to perceive from the news that purposely withheld the horrors of being homeless. And now that I'm here, it's even worse. I mean, it's now winter time. They're using this place for the overflow. And rather than the government having home builders, apartment builders build apartments that we can afford, they instead let rich apartment builders build rich apartments that we can't afford, and thus they keep us homeless. And this is a private corporation that runs this. The private corporation cannot make money if there are no homeless, and that's criminal in and of itself, but it's sponsored by the government, because there are no resources for us. They can get us our identifications and hook us up with government benefits, and beyond that, they can't do nothing for us. They can't get us a home. There are no homes. How are they going to get us a home? The government won't allow Section 8 vouchers. It's been closed, and it's indefinitely closed. That's the one thing that could solve homelessness in Utah. Give all the homeless a Section 8 voucher. Because the people who run the apartment buildings that are too expensive for us would accept a Section 8 housing voucher. Done deal. But nope. Government won't do it. They don't want us to have our own lives. And it's not like we still have to work with a Section 8 voucher. But it's discounted, so it's more affordable. It's a third of the cost of the apartment. And with Utah owning and operating the state of Utah, with Mormons who are incited by the church to be this abusive to us, it's an atrocity. It's an abomination. We'll use abomination. So this is what we deal with as Mormons. And for Mormons to turn a blind eye to this, having gone on missions to the third world countries, and blame the members or the church for not fellowshipping to keep them strong, no, you guys missed the whole point. See, as missionaries, we just go out, we tell people about Jesus, and baptize. We don't actually get involved in their lives to know what their financial circumstances are for the most part, unless they tell us. And it's disgraceful to be Mormon and not understand that this isn't a good church. And if it's not a good church, whose church is it? And for Mormons to just ignore this and continue to blindly follow the church. Say, oh, I was born Mormon, I'll die Mormon. It's true. I love it with all my heart. I feel it in every fiber of my being. You're a deceiver. And you're an enemy. You're self-righteous bleep bleep. It's winter time. You're supposed to be dead. So